All right, all right. I wanna get out some additional thoughts on the Color Purple remake and musical. There was you know, it was at the movies and they say it's a flop, and I don't know. I don't care one way or the other. I'm totally lethargic and ambivalent towards the project and shit, you know. But I want to laugh my fucking ass off because, you know, I'm a creative, okay? Now I'll leave it at that and shit, but I want to say that one of the hallmarks of a true, like, producer, director, and everything is that they know how to get the job done. They know how to leave their proclivities, you know, at home or in their trailer and shit. You know, everything that they are doesn't permeate, you know, the fucking movie and shit, okay? And I had a laugh when I had a laugh. You know, in the last video, I commented about the odd body shapes of most of the women in the film. You know, most of the women. There was a couple of small ones in there, just to be fair, right? But most of the women were blocky built, you know, like a grifter once said, badly built, you know. They were really badly built, you know? And I know, you know, Taraji P. Henson is getting on in years and shit. We're somewhere probably in the same age group or near each other and shit. But, like, she was built like a fucking refrigerator, man. And so was Fantasia Barrino, who we know doesn't look like that. She has like an hourglass figure. You know, I don't know how much of that is a BBL or some other implants or some shit. I don't give a fuck, okay? She has a phenomenal singing voice, but her screen presence is lacking and shit in this particular project. You know, the hairstyles and all the other bullshit, you know, it's everything's just thrown off when you see the two similarly built women like fucking around together on film and shit, you know. When you see them, they're like two giant refrigerators bumping around and shit, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And Taraji P. Henson used to be much thinner, you know. And I admit she's getting on in years, okay? And I feel like this project came a little bit late in her career when she could have had it to use as some kind of you know, some kind of springboard and shit, you know. But as we found out recently, through her own fucking self-destructive behavior as far as her career goes, she feels like she wasn't getting paid enough and that she's always had to fight to get that extra ducat, that extra butter biscuit, that dollar and shit. And I can say that because a lot of her projects rub me the wrong fucking way, you know, as a black person, as a black human being and shit, you know. Race is a construct that we didn't make, but we are judged and are categorized by and shit. But, you know, I just laugh my fucking ass off, you know, because Oprah Winfrey is an executive producer on this shit show. And then when I looked at it, you know, and I saw the new version of the Sophia character who was much smaller than Oprah at the time and shit. And, you know, her screen presence is, you only get a sense of her screen presence when she starts singing with that powerful voice. I can't take that away from the actor, you know. I can't take that away and shit, but she is no Oprah Winfrey, okay? Nobody is, all of the new characters, new versions of these shitty ass characters are lacking as fuck, or they're just wrong and shit, you know? They're just wrong, and Fantasia Barrino is like a giant ass female in this with a giant back and shit, and you compare that to Whoopi Goldberg's version of the character who was like, somewhat, you know, just above frail and shit. So it made Danny Glover look like that much more the monster shit. And then when you see the new Mister, he just reads weak. He reads weak. He has to pull out a shotgun and point it at, you know, the younger sister to get her off his property and shit. And in the original, Danny Glover just kicked both of the women's ass up and down the farm and shit and just threw the bitch out. And then he was throwing rocks at her and shit. Danny Glover was a true caveman and the evil black demon, you know, the black boogeyman made incarnate and shit, you know. Because somehow he has a shitload of land and all this crap. It probably was like Mississippi or something, and the Klan didn't show up to, like, you know, take care of it. Nobody showed up to take care of it and shit. It's total bullshit, you know. It's a misandrous lesbian fantasy, okay? That's what it is. And I don't have a problem with that shit if people would label it as such and shit, but they call it a cult classic and all this bullshit. And this movie was lacking, and I'm laughing because we all know Oprah's a big fat chick and shit. Even though she's lost weight in recent years because she's getting on in years, she's starting to shrink down and everything. But Oprah's always been a big giant fat black woman who wished she was a white woman and shit. Who wished she was white. But like when you look at the new version of The Color Purple, like she cast the film with a ton of like, you know, these dark-skinned women that were badly built. Like none of them have like a regular human shape. We've seen fat motherfuckers in our community and shit. They come in a variety of shapes and shit. You got some fat women that are just giant versions of actually women and shit. You got the pear-shaped woman, which most brothers be going after and shit. And then you got these motherfuckers that look like beanbag chairs, you know? They, you know, look like beanbag chairs and shit. That term was innovated by the Roger Report Live, I believe that's the name of the channel. I give credit where credit is due and shit, okay? Alright? But, you know, so she cast the movie. Like when Sophia's leaving Harpo, the shitty version of Harpo that doesn't look like a wimp, when she's leaving his ass, she's flanked by a bunch of badly built, dark-skinned women and shit. And I just feel like this is Oprah just, you know, tracing over the original film and imposing her own standards on it because that's what she looks like. She inhabits the movie with a bunch of badly built women that no man fucking wants and shit, so they have to throw rocks and hide their hand and shit because they are non-selected shit and they're just hyper-aggressive and masculine because they have self-worth issues and shit. Self-hate issues. I'm gonna beat that horse until it's dead. I'm gonna beat it for as long as I can and shit, okay? I'm gonna beat it as much as black women saying black men ain't shit. Now, this is my fucking voice and shit, okay? The audio's fucked up. I wanna tell you that I'm sorry about that, okay? Because I'm in a undisclosed location, alright? Let's just say I'm sequestered in an undisclosed location, off the grid. So, you know, if I don't pop up, you know, sooner or later, you know, somebody's gonna have to continue this good work and shit on these females and shit, okay? It's our turn. Alright, it's our turn to be strong, independent, blah, 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 and shit. And we can make that shit work and shit because, you know, we're the prize, okay? And, you know, when I look at this fucking movie and I see all these badly built, you know, women from you know, a giant version of a human being, which was not seen in this fucking movie, but you got a lot of motherfuckers built like, you know, beanbag chairs and shit. Yeah, motherfuckers, you know, they look like them California Raisin commercial they used to be. And I'm like, it's just all fucked up. You know it's Oprah doing it? Because she's always a giant fat chick. Even when she lost weight, she can never get away from the shadow of what she was and, you know, that mammy and shit, okay? These are the mammies, right? The new Sophia is, I don't know what to make of. She's smaller and shorter than Oprah, okay? She's less than. She has no screen presence. And then they didn't even do anything with like makeup or nothing to, you know, give her something extra, you know, to like, you know, do something with her hair so that her face, with her dark black ass face would stand out, you know, maybe put some flecks of gray in it or some, you know, highlight it some way or light it a different way. I've seen dark skinned women, you know, photographed properly and none of that shit was applied. And the movie is directed by a fucking female tether shit, okay? A female tether directed this shit. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, she dropped the goddamn ball and shit. Fantasia Barrino looks like she could go 10 to 50 rounds of Irish motherfucking boxing. Marcus of Queensberry style with the guy that's playing Mr. shit, the Coleman Domingo, who's much shorter than Danny Glover and shit. Even Harpo is bigger than his fucking ass. Okay? And you compare that Coleman Domingo to, you put him side by side with Danny Glover, and tell me you don't laugh your motherfucking ass off, okay? Alright, I can't imagine Mr. playing a banjo and sitting on his porch singing some shit. But I had to see in this fucking movie. Fucking hilarious, man. But, you know, I just wanted to come back on here. You know, I don't want to say, you know, it's not body shaming, but you have to look. The women, they're built the same way. They look like two pillars and shit. They look like the clashing rocks of Greek mythology and shit. With two badly built, gigantic ass women busting together and shit. I'm like, who the fuck wants to see that? You know, brothers, we were raised in this misandrous, matriarchal society and shit, and we got used to looking at them. But outside of the community, no one wants to see two big refrigerator-built motherfuckers who need some football shoulder pads on the screen, you know, doing whatever, you know. And Fantasia Barrino, Like the director fucked up. The director of cinematography fucked up by putting a shitload of close-ups of her her face like a rubber mask of her own fucking face. You know, singing and shit and all this crap. Like you got the camera right all in her fucking face, man. And then when it gets back, you can see that she's badly built and dancing around and shit. And you know, I just take issue with that. You know, Tyrese P. Henson is talented, but she's no Margaret Avery. Okay, she's none of that. And then when they had the scene where they're singing "God Has Got to Tell You Something," she shows up wearing pants. Okay, man, she shows up wearing an Oprah special. I think that shit came out of Oprah's closet. And they have to lessen all the religion in the film, you know. In the original film, Suge Avery was doing her thing, and she heard the music coming from the church, and it started touching her in a spiritual way, and she started singing and shedding all the years of bad decisions and everything. She was shedding that as she walked to finally confront her father and shit. And what you have today, two assholes sitting at a piano. One of them is David Allen Greer, a comedian who made his dime on being a coon. Okay, he's the new preacher. You know what? I'm like, this nigga need a toupee or something, man. I don't want to see this motherfucker with a beard. He's not an elder. Okay, it's David Allen Greer. He's a retired professional coon actor and shit. I don't know what he is in real life, but I know that this shit rubbed me the wrong way. All right, this shit rubbed me the wrong way. Tyrese P. Henson is talented, but she is not Margaret Avery and shit. And I hated the pantsuit, and I hated the explanation that Celie and the other underage women was not the actual daughters of the man that was attacking them before they ended up with Mr. and shit. Okay, they have to clean up everything and shit. I'm like, why clean it up, Oprah? Why clean it up? Don't worry. A bunch of black women in America, the ones that are actually gonna pay some money and not be scamming or grifting and shit, you know, they're gonna go see this movie. They're gonna take their children to go see this fucking thing. Like I was taken against my will, you know, when I was a early teenager and shit, to see this shit in 1986.